Hello and welcome to another video. So still haven't posted the January wrap-up, which has been filmed. So you'll see that before you see this. But we're here for our February wrap-up. February was a good month. It's been a weird month. I started a new job, and I don't think I'm going to have as much time to read with this new job. But I read a lot of books this month, so I think it's going to even out in the long run. So, you know, March is not going to be what this month was. I had a lot of plans for this month. I was going to actually film videos, which didn't happen because I started a new job and I got really busy with that. I was going to do a whole bunch of readathons, and I made TBRs for them. I didn't post them. I didn't post anything about the readathons, and I stuck to most of the TBRs when the readathons were happening, which was nice. And I read almost an entire series of YA books, which I really enjoyed. So let's just get into it. So, for some statistics, I read a total of 13 books, 3 of which were graphic novels, and that was a total of 4,461 pages, which is a lot. And I gave an average rating of 3.69, so slightly less than 4. Which is, you know, decent. The books I have are a little bit out of order, but I think I'm going to put them back in order and show you them in the order that I read them. So I started off the month by reading Saga Volume 4 when I couldn't sleep. This is everything that you would have expected from the other Saga volumes. It gets really interesting, particularly in the middle. It deals with some different topics around parenthood and infidelity and relationships, which I thought were really interesting, especially seeing as though this series is from a child's perspective. And I really enjoyed it. I ended up rating it a 4 out of 5. I'm excited to carry on in this series, though I don't have the next volume yet. Then I read The Warrior's Heir by Cinda Chima. This was a reread for me. I read it when I was in high school, I think, and I absolutely loved it. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I have purchased this in hardcover just recently, within the last year or so. And I'm really glad that I reread this. It was really awesome. I loved it all. You can tell that this is her first book. There's some tropey things that happen. Some of the writing isn't as nuanced as in her later books. But I've only read her Heir series, so I can't speak to any of the other series, though I do have the first book of her second series, but I did really like this. I rated it 4 out of 5. It was super fun, and I think it's just kind of a cool concept about how the War of the Roses didn't stop for like the wizarding realm and is continued on in this very interesting way. So I did enjoy this, and I actually read the next book next, which is The Wizard Heir. This is probably my favorite book in the series. I love the character that it follows. I think it has a little bit more depth than the first book, and definitely a bigger evil in some ways. I rated this one a 4 out of 5 also. I loved it. This is one of the first books that I bought as a teenager in hardcover, and I have never regretted it. Then, because, you know, we were on a roll, I read The Dragon Heir, which is the last book in the original trilogy. Cinda Chima published 2 companions that are book 4 and 5 in the series later on. But yeah, so this was originally the conclusion. I also like this book a lot. It only introduces one new character, which kind of deviates from the first 2 books where they introduced a new main character and that's who it was about. So that was kind of interesting, but it was cool, and it was a nice wrap up to the storyline that was happening. I did find that the ending was a little bit rushed. I felt like things were wrapped up a little bit too neatly, and it could have taken more time to really conclude everything. But again, I love this series, and I'm not upset. And I rated it 4 out of 5. Then I read the first book in the Seven Waters series by Juliet Marillier, the Daughter of the Forest, for the Read Seven Waters read-along that April is hosting. I'll leave the links to her announcement video down below if you want to come and join. I had never read this series before, but I read her YA series, which I really enjoyed. So this was good. It's a retelling of The Seven Swans. So the main character doesn't talk for a year while she's making shirts for her brothers. And it gave me a lot of feelings. There was a death that I don't approve of. And yeah, it was a delightful read. I read it quite quick. As you know, I do love this format of book, so it was just perfect for me. I rated it a 4 out of 5, and I'm excited to read the next book in this series, probably in this month or next month. Then I started a reading slump with The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George, which I rated 2 stars because it was horrible. I didn't like anything about it. I didn't like the characters. I shouldn't say that. I liked the first 50 pages, which is why I ended up finishing the books, but I didn't really like the concept behind it, because it was about a man who was mad at a woman who left him, and left him with a note about why she left. Turns out she had cancer and she was leaving because she was dying, and he didn't read the note, so he didn't know why, and he was just angry about it. And he could have gotten closure, but he decided not to. And it was so to try and help me break out of the slump halfway through reading that, I picked up the first volume of Zodiac Starforce by The Power of Astra by Kevin Panetta and Paulina. I'm not going to pronounce her last name because I can't. So this is a really fun book. It's the first graphic novel that I've read that's really superhero-y. The art in it is absolutely gorgeous. I love the color palette. And it's just like a story about this group of girls who are friends, and it has great bi and lesbian rep in it. And like, I'm in love. The next volume of this is going to come out this year sometime, which I'm going to get so quick because this was amazing and I need more. I like Gemini. She's great. I identify with her as a Gemini, and you should read that. It's more superhero-y than many of the other graphic novels that I've read, but I kind of want to change that because I think superheroes are cool. I'm just like not sure how much I like them. Then I read the Enchanter Heir by Cinda Chima. This is the 4th book in the Heir Chronicles. Again, as I said earlier, the last 2 books take like complete 180 and talk about a completely different thing. So I think they're worth reading. I really did enjoy them, but there are some people who like the original trilogy better, and I can see that. But if you've gotten to this book and you've read this book and you're not sure about it, read the next book because it is worth it. But I did enjoy reading it, just not as much as the first 2. It introduces a new set of characters, a new set of guilds, and new conspiracies. So that was really interesting. But I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5. It didn't live up to the first, 3 books in the series. I felt like it didn't need to happen, but I'm not upset that it did. Then I finally read The Essex Serpents by Sarah Perry, and I did not like this as much as I'd hoped. I thought it was a book about like a kick-ass lady naturalist who, discovers a serpent. But instead it was more of a character study about flawed individuals falling in and out of love with each other, and some children. Again, it wasn't bad. It wasn't what I wanted, and I found it a little bit slow to get through. So, pretty book, but not my fave. Then I read, this is when Alphabetathon was going on, in case you've noticed, they have all had E's in them. Then I read Artemis Fowl by Eoin Colfer. This is the graphic novel of the first book. I like it. It's one of the first graphic novels I ever read. I read it as a child. I'm just trying to show you some of the art. So, like, some people don't like it. They think it's a little too exaggerated. But, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I feel like you need to read the novels before you read the graphic novels. It's been a long time since I read the novels, so I felt like I was missing things in this. but when I read it the first time, I had just finished reading the novels and thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. So I do have the second one. I do plan on reading it. So yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was fun, but not what I wanted. Because it's apparently the month of rereading, I also read A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine. I have read this book 3 times. This was my 3rd time reading it, and I didn't remember anything apparently about it, really, except for the cool science. There's you know, some drawings in here of a cube. There's a drawing of an ant in here somewhere that I'm gonna find. And like, I like this book a lot, but I would say that unlike some of the other books that I read recently that are in YA or more into kidlit, you can kind of tell that this book was written for children. I found that the sentence structure and some of the word choice wasn't as sophisticated as it might have been if it was written for adults. But it was really cool. It had some really cool concepts. Oh, there's the ants. It's on the next page. And I did really enjoy it. I think it's a very powerful book, and I think it's a good book to give children to read. I am going to continue on the quintet, so hopefully I'll get that read shortly. But I rated this a 4 to 5, and I'm really excited for the movie. Then, to finish off my month, I, you know, finished the Song of the Lioness quintet with, first, The Woman Who Rides Like a Man, which might arguably be my favorite book in the series, because it really just focuses on Alana and her personal growth. And it's her first year being a knight, and she's in a new culture, so you're learning all about that culture, and like she's also like shaking things up and stirring up trouble. So like I really enjoyed it. I rated it a 4 out of 5. Solid read. And then the last book that I read, much to my chagrin, was The Lioness Rampant, which I also rated 4 stars. These two are kind of tied, I guess, but I also really love the first book. Like, don't listen to me, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I loved all the books. But I really, again, there's a lot of growth as Alana in herself as a character and more confidence in herself. This book also had the only other scene that I remembered from my first time reading it when I was like 12, so that was good, but loved it. The reason why I said much to my chagrin is that I was probably a quarter of the way through The Sorcerer's Heir, which is the final book in the Cinda Williams Chima Heir Chronicles, on the last day of February. So like it's done a little that I didn't get it done. But, you know, I had a really great reading month. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you've thought about them, and how you did this month with your reading. Did you meet your goals? Did you participate in any, you know, reading challenges? But we'll see you in my haul video, so until next time.